Hi everyone, Sibs with you tonight. It's a special Wednesday night doubleheader. 4 teams playing 2 very important games. It's the Springfield Thunderbird against the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and then at the same time we'll also be bringing you part of the game between Texas and Stockton. Those teams fighting for the last game, the last spot in the West. Let's take a quick look at the Eastern Atlantic. As you see, it is Springfield at 77 points in 3rd place, 76 points in 4th place is Lehigh Valley, and Bridgeport at 75 points, right behind them. All 3 teams vying for that last position. When you take a look over on the Western Pacific, again, Texas and Stockton, 3 points separating them right now. And this one is a big one for Stockton. They need the victory more now than ever in order to keep Texas still within reach. Otherwise, after that, it'll be all over. Hi, everyone. Again, Sibs with you, and Degraves joining me right now. We'll have Vibez on in a little bit as well to talk about the games tonight. Degraves, again, big matchup in the West. Let's talk about that one first. You're obviously very familiar with these teams, Stockton and Texas. The Heat 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They've just been playing the kind of hockey maybe they should have started playing 2-3 weeks ago, and they're desperately holding on here with 8 points available. Really, 4 games, 8 points are available. They're down by 3 now. They need this win. If they're down by 5 with 6 points left to go, it's lights out pretty much for Stockton.
Yeah, for sure. This is the deal right here for the Stockton Heat. Like you said, 8-1-1 in the last 10 games. That's a pretty impressive run going at the end of the season, looking to fight for that last playoff spot. I mean, you look at the 2 lines going at it tonight, and it seems like they're putting the fourth effort to putting the best lines out there to either not let someone into the playoffs, or to, for Stockton to get into the playoffs. A big win for Stockton would mean a lot to them, and like you said, Sibs, a loss would mean a lot to them as well, considering 6 points, 6 available points going into after this game. I mean, that would be hard to come back from with three games left. So. Yeah, I mean, this is the matchup for sure. One of the best matchups for Wednesday night, and I'm really interested to see how this pans out. This is it for Stockton, so it's all in for them.
The other game tonight, Springfield and the Phantoms. They're about ready to start in this game, and we'll bring you all that action in a second as these teams are lining up right now as we speak, and we'll get to that game as soon as they are finished getting ready for this matchup between these 2 teams. But again, big matchup where 3 teams within a point of each one of them, and they are all well within this. It's been like this in the Eastern Atlantic for a while, and these teams, just nobody wanting to give in. And looks like they're having a little bit of an issue on the Springfield side, so we'll get back to that shortly. But right now, again, these teams in this division, we were looking at Hershey all year long because they've been that good. We've seen some of these teams play well against Hershey. Hershey has not had a great record against much of their division, and not only have they been able to beat Hershey, but they have been battling between each other. Springfield looked like they'd be a lock for 3rd, and then they're starting to fall out of place. Lehigh Valley's got a very talented team. We've seen their roster. We've talked about these guys time and time again. And again, you really can't go wrong when you've got the kind of talent that they have. Tonight, Tyler Lokey in net, who we've talked about all season long, has been pretty tremendous. JG is starting. Syrup is also up there on the front line with Woogie. JG and How's That Taste back on defense. And Tyler Lokey, they're putting out, close to, if not their best line. and they have just a ton of talent on this team. You know, we've talked about a lot of these guys over the season, but, you know, J.J. Loops, John Hardcock, Johnny ZQC, who is someone that Vibes has talked about a lot as being, you know, a pretty talented guy and someone who, you know, who could really make a difference on this team. I Pass, You Score has been good no matter where he's played. So, you know, the Stockton Texas game might be a little sexier to watch tonight, but you know, you still have to say, you know, Springfield and Lehigh Valley, again, two very good teams and two very good goaltenders tonight. Bacon Weave on the other side for the Thunderbirds going, and he also is just a tremendous goaltender, has been all season long.
Yeah, I know Bacon Weave pretty well. I've played with him quite a bit actually in the past month or so. You know, I always send him invites because he is a great goalie. Like you said, this is going to be a Tyler Loki in net as well. I think this is going to be a goaltending matchup. I really don't see this being a high scoring game. There's quite a bit of scorers out there on the ice for this game, but you know, these two goalies are pretty impressive. So I'm really interested to see how this one goes and which way this turns. And Sibs, you know, like you said, Bridgeport Sound Tigers, there's still 8 points available, so they're not out of this as well. I'm sure they're paying close attention to this game as well.
Yeah, definitely, and they certainly, you know, they're right there. I mean, these teams, you get down to one more game is when it's really going to be a problem. But even with just a few games left to go today and tomorrow, at 1 point separating each one of them, you know, they're all still in it. And you know, these guys are going to try and play as hard as they can. Looks like we have a lost connection, at least on Tyler Lokey's part, and we'll see if what that means to the start of this game or the restart of this game. This one could take a while. We're going to have to find out what their issue is with this game, but we'll get back to you that in a minute. For now, we'll just come back and keep talking about the other game. You know, Stockton, what's been your take on them all season long? They've obviously struggled. They don't have all the talent on defense that they had last year. They still got a great defense, but it's not as solid. I think that's a big reason that I see. But what are you seeing different with the Stockton team that's making it a little more difficult for them to even just get in the playoffs?
I mean, truly, I think it's just the availability starting to come around for them. The fight. They see where they're at, and if I was in their shoes and on that team, I would be giving it 110% effort as well. Even though that should be the motto every time stepping on the ice, but you know, they see where they're at. You know, people had high hopes for them at the beginning of the season. Maybe that put on a little pressure for them, and you know, considering they were the defending champs season 4. But yeah, it could be just the pressure factor. You know, teams expecting them to come out at the beginning of the season on fire and being on top of the leaderboards. But they're a great team. They have all the pieces to the puzzle. You did say that their defense is a little, you know, on the weaker side. I could agree with that. I played one game, I believe, against Stockton. 2 games, sorry. And you know, it was their defense was a little loose on us. It definitely allowed us to make some moves in our offensive zone. You know, there wasn't much applied pressure at that blue line for us to really have to think about what we should do with the puck. You know, and that leaves a goalie kind of hanging. So, right. You know, like you said, Sibs, the defense is a little probably the weakest point on their team. You know, I know they do have the deal maker. He is a good goalie, even though I give him not as much credit as he deserves, just because it's the deal maker. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, their offense has all their forwards have all the pieces to the puzzle. It's definitely not a scoring factor on their side. It's more of how often the opponent scores on them.
Well, again, we're still waiting for a restart. The Phantoms are gathering again in the locker room. I think there's some sort of issue with possibly with the Thunderbirds, but I'm only going by what I'm seeing on their stream. So on the Phantom stream. So hopefully we'll get some clarification as to what actually happened there. But they're trying again, and we'll again get to that as soon as we can. We don't have any stream for Texas and Stockton, and we'll try and see if we can find one. I know Jay Giroux was talking about streaming that. He's in this game tonight, and so we'll see if we can get some kind of stream from him at some point. Right now, we don't have anything up for that game. So they are looking to restart, I guess, this one in Lehigh Valley again, as this game will start back. I'm not sure if they're going to, wait for a certain time to go by or just decide to restart the game completely, but that can be up to the discretion, I guess, of both of the teams. Lefty just went out on the Phantom. So whenever we go live to do these games, there usually winds up being some kind of an issue with these games, and again, we continue to have a problem.
And hopefully, they don't have to take a penalty, because that could be a key factor to the start of this game. That could really set the tone. Going on 5-on-4 with two minutes into a game or a minute into the game, that's a momentum shifter already in the making. So, hopefully they can capitalize on that if that's what conclusion they came up with, and let's see if they can capitalize on that 5-on-4 if that's the decision made.
And we do have a stream, and I'm going to show that with all the comments in it as well, because this would take a bit of a stretch for me to show this properly. But we do have a feed of the Stockton game right now. The Heat up 1-0 on Texas with 9:54 left to go in the first period, and so we'll be bringing you this game for now until we get something else coming up from the other game. As of now, we don't quite have a restart yet, but we'll be bringing you that as soon as we get something from them.
And going back to that Stockton game, Sibs, with Texas, Texas has a lot to fight for too. That 3rd and 4th spot, or 4th and 5th spot. There's a lot on their belt as well. They don't want to lose this game, Sibs. They don't want to lose at all. So, going down 1-0 with 10 minutes left in the first, I know they're trying to fight back. I just hope that they don't really force all these passes and force feed the cross crease and just work the puck. There's some great players on that Texas team. They got Jay Giroux. They got Fucked on as a center. He's a great center, great player. So I know that they can put points up. So I definitely think this is going to be a neck-to-neck battle, going all the way to the end of the 3rd period. This is it right here. You see the shout box every day. This is what people hype it all up for, and it's all friendly at the end of the day. But Texas doesn't want to lose, and neither does Stockton. So this is going to be a neck-to-neck battle going all the way to the end.
Good opportunities so far we've seen for the Texas Stars. They aren't able to get in the zone. They are able to get some decent shots off. So don't expect this one to be a shutout of any kind anytime soon. But we will continue to watch this one as we wait for the other game to start up. And let's take a quick look, see if they've got anything going. They are still waiting for something to happen for the other team to show up for this one. So we'll bring you that game as soon as we can. But right now, still bringing you the Stockton and Texas game.
Sibs, what's your prediction going into the Stockton versus Dallas game? I know you aren't in the division, but I know you know a lot of these players, and definitely want kind of some of your input on, you know, some of these forward lines for Stockton and in the Stars. So, what's your input on that?
I always feel like Stockton, you know, again, when you've got still a lot of the same core of the team, and you've got a lot of the same leadership, it's hard to go against that. It's hard to say, okay, I think that this is going to be a problem because, you know, they're a very different team. But that's not the case with this group. They are, you know, they are a solid team, and I can't imagine that this is going to necessarily be any different this season. They've got that leadership. They've got guys who are used to being in a position where they need to come up clutch. This team, Stockton, last year has lost a few, lost a few games, got down in a couple of series, and, you know, did not give up. And that's the whole thing, is that this team does not give up. So I think it's very, very much the same Stockton team that we've always seen. I think their leadership will force the issue and give them the opportunity to, to have, to feel like they have a fighting chance always with this group. And so, you know, you have to battle that. You have to battle a former champion that still has a good chunk of that team left, that knows what it takes to get there. So, you know, that's a huge advantage for Stockton. You know, Texas has some of that. You know, Fucht was with them last year and played incredibly well. But I kind of feel like that's a huge benefit for Stockton if they can take advantage of it.
And it's almost like having a veteran on the team, in any kind of sport. Bringing them back and being able to communicate with their players, like, hey, this is it.
All right, you guys fucking good now? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we're also live.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, what's up?
What's up,
right. So anyway, let's catch everybody up on.
Sorry, I wasn't even talking to you. I apologize. God, I'm sorry.
Good. Everybody, well, at least he's not eating this time, from what I can tell.
No, I'm not eating. I don't have time to eat.
So the Springfield Thunderbirds and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, no score here as they restarted the first. They waited a minute or two to get back to the original time, and now they are actually playing the game. So we'll keep an eye. We'll take a look at this game right now since it just started up until we catch a break, and then we'll flip back over, see where the Heat and the Stars are. But again, Lehigh Valley, incredibly solid team. Two good goaltenders tonight, Bacon Weave and Tyler going for the Phantoms. Bacon Weave for Springfield. So, I expect a little more of a defensive struggle. I'm looking at a 2-1 game, maybe a 3-2 in overtime type game. You've seen a good deal of these guys, Vibes. I'll let you talk a little bit about the Heat and the Stars in a minute, but when you've got really good goaltending in this game, and really this is almost like a playoff game really at this point, you're going to get these guys being a little bit tight. They don't want to make mistakes, and with both of these teams struggling so hard just to get the playoffs, you got to believe that it's got to be a cautious game, I would think.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're in playoff mode. That's for absolute certain. Especially these divisions that are really close, like the Atlantic and the bottom end of the Pacific, and I guess even my division in the Central. It's close, and it's playoff hockey, because if you lose a game, you could find yourself on the way out, on the outside looking in, and if you win a game, you could be on the inside looking out. So I mean, this is playoff hockey if there is any, and it's certainly that time of season, and we're definitely getting into it now.
Still Stockton up here in the third period with 8.5 left to go, up 1-0, and good opportunity there for the Stars as, again, their good passing pays off for them, and they've tied this game up here in the third, finally getting on the board. And, again, good passing. We've seen this from the better teams. They find somebody in front. Guys without the pucks are moving around well, and the Stars able to finally find a hole in the Stockton defense.
Yeah, moving without the puck is a big deal. in these games. That's one of the things that I do praise, kind of to my guys is hey, we got to move, guys. You can't. I understand you're a winger, but sometimes you got to move around to make something happen. The center is not necessarily the center of attention, so in order to get those open opportunities, you got to find them. They're not just going to come to you. Those D guys stay pretty in position. So definitely making them move a little bit, moving the puck quick around the boards is the opportunity for them to get a goal, as you well saw for the Stars.
I mean, one of the things we hear in hockey, and I mean, I think it applies here, is move the puck, move yourself, and it applies here as well because, you always got the one guy that's, posted in front of the net, ready to pitch camp, he's going to put his tent up and shit, and he's not moving from the front of the net. And he needs to realize that, he's not really doing anybody any good just sitting there.
We'll stay to the end of this one, but just to get you caught up, Springfield just scoring here with 8 minutes left to go in the first period, and they are up 1-0 on a deflection play in front of the net, and that one sneaking through the pads of Tyler Lokey. And so Lehigh Valley finding themselves behind quickly in this one. When under a minute left to go in this one, Stockton and Texas tied at 1. And, man, yeah, just like a playoff game, you can almost expect, overtime in some of these. We saw a lot of OT games last season, guys, in the playoffs. And, maybe you get a lot of loose play during the regular season, but, man, you really do have guys who, they'll play a little bit better defense. They'll come back. And there's Stockton late in the game here, putting one home with 33.7 left to go. And Texas calling a timeout.
Wow.
That's my boys.
That's huge. That is real big for Stockton.
You see there the play, yeah. If the follow-up on this one is what makes this play. And that was...
You can bet, Sibs, that Stockton is feeling good right now. They just need to keep their composure going in with these last 33 seconds. After this game, there's only 6 available points. Who knows? Who knows? This could be it for.
This game is huge for Stockton.
Huge. And you mentioned it earlier too, DeGraves. We said how big it is, and how important it is for Loops, and this is a big game. This is a game where you have to come up with the big plays, and that was Loops putting it home, poking it in the net, doing whatever he could to get it on net and get it in, and that was Loops with the go-ahead goal in that one. And we are down to 17.4 left to go in this game.
And Luch has been absolutely on fire for the Stockton Heat. I've been watching his previous games yesterday, beating Barracuda. That was big for the Reign as well. And, Luch is just playing phenomenally. He's playing good hockey and definitely giving his team a fighting chance. And I feel like that's why they put him in this game tonight. They needed that last urge, and Loops is the guy for him right now. He's been doing it all for him the past 4 or 5 games, and that's sometimes it takes one guy, sometimes it takes all 5 on the ice, or all 6. My bad.
Well, Stockton with that last-minute goal, and they wind up taking what was a pretty exciting, very defensive game for most of the play, taking this game a final of 2-1, and as we mentioned, Loops with the game winner in this one, and now Stockton draws within 1 point. 6 more left on the table between these two teams with 3 games left to go, and it is definitely an opportunity for the Stockton Heat to push themselves into the playoffs. This is what Vibez had been talking about. He mentioned that this was a situation where he felt that they were going to overtake Texas, that Texas wasn't necessarily playing up to where they could. Both teams had been 3-3 so far this week, and not playing all that well even last week. And so we saw these teams, struggle. Actually, no, that was the other division. But Stockton had only lost 1 game in the last 10, and Texas was pretty much staying with them. But this is the game where, this is what tells you who is the playoff team and who isn't. And Texas better run the table if they want to hold off Stockton, because, this heat train is just continuing to chug along and get where they need to for the playoffs.
This is what champions do. Champions win games like this, and for all the stuff that Stockton has taken this season, you got to take your hat off to them, because when it came right down to it, they're getting it done. And make no mistake about it. I mean, yeah, sure, they're 1 point behind Texas, but Stockton is in the driver's seat. Okay, just let everyone understand that Stockton is in the driver's seat. And if you would ask me, they hold their destiny in their own hands now with that win over Texas. They're 1 point behind them. Texas has a really tough 3 games left remaining on the table, and Stockton has 3 very winnable games. So the only way Stockton does not make it in at this point is if they shoot themselves in the foot.
Vibes?
I have to look it up, but they are Stockton is playing. Stockton is playing.
Yeah, they've got the Gulls next at 10:30, and then they've got the Condors and the Rampage, which, those games they can win. That 10:30 game against the Gulls is the really important one coming up, and providing we feel like sticking around here, we may want to continue to bring that game to you, because
So they got the Gulls, and then they have the Condors, and they have the Rampage tomorrow, which are 2 very winnable games. And then Texas, on the other hand, has, let me see here.
Meanwhile, as we see, Springfield and Lehigh Valley, a good save there by Tyler. They are tied up at 1 here, relatively early on in the second period. Sibs, Vibez, and
Degraves. The Barracuda, they have to play the Gulls and you guys.
Yeah, they've got the tougher. They definitely have the tougher matchups there. There's Springfield, again, good passing, nice shot. Tyler just not able to get over to the other side of the net in time, and Springfield now with the 2-1 lead in this game.
And that's pretty big. Halfway through the second, Springfield is, they still do have a lot on their plate. Like we said, with Bridgeport still around the corner, Lehigh right around the corner. There's a lot of pressure on them, so they got to bring their best. They got to bring the champions, like Vibe was saying. They got to bring those champions out to win these games, and I think that's what they're doing here.
And Hartford is about ready to clinch a win here against Bridgeport. They are up 6-3 now with 10.9 seconds left to go in that game. So Hartford just trying to get some space going, but that would be good news for Lehigh Valley if Bridgeport loses this one. That'll keep them within some striking distance, even with the loss. But still early in this game, halfway through it now, as the T-Birds up 2-1 over the Phantoms, and we've seen a lot of action in the Lehigh Valley defensive end. Now they're finally getting to move the puck well. Good save there by Bakerweave as he gets the right toe on it and back the other way very quickly. Good save by Tyler. And I've seen that a few times tonight where Springfield has been able to break out pretty quickly, and that's been part of the issue that Lehigh Valley's had to deal with. So good game going on here, but the Wolfpack beating Bridgeport 6-3 in their early game, just finishing that one up now. With that would give Hartford 83 points. If Springfield loses, that would still keep them 2 points ahead of Bridgeport. If Lehigh Valley loses, they'll still be 1 ahead of Bridgeport. So both teams in this game that we're watching right now probably pretty happy that at least Bridgeport lost tonight. We are continuing to watch this game. Springfield and Lehigh Valley. Sibs with you, and Vibez and Degraves as well. We were talking a little bit about the Western Pacific. Obviously, you're very familiar with the Degraves, and we talked about And again, another nice pass and good shot from the point. And not a lot of help with blocking shots in front for Tyler. He's got a lot of moving to do, and he's not getting a lot of help back on defense just yet. We were talking a little bit earlier, Vibes, about Stockton, and and another goal and another quick goal by Springfield, and now a timeout being called by Stockton in this one. Quickly, I just want to talk about Stockton, Vibes. We mentioned earlier, they a lot of the same core team, a lot of guys who are used to winning, who know what it takes to win. To me, that's a big bonus for them against Texas, against anybody else in the West, and probably a big reason why they may very well make it into the playoffs. How much of that chemistry and experience that Stockton has, how much of that will carry them in the Western Pacific, and how far do you think it can carry them if they do make the playoffs?
I think that it carries them to a certain level. I think that it helps them in games like this, where it's a really tight game and it can kind of go either way. And sometimes knowing where your guy is going to be without even having to look or something like that, it can come into play here. Do I think it's going to be able to parasail them over some of these teams that are coming out of the West? I don't know. I think eventually, maybe just based off of sheer throughput, there's another team out there that can probably dethrone Stockton. But I certainly think that Stockton's at least going to make a little bit of noise. And I've stayed with them all season. You know what I mean? All season long, they've been my adopted team here, aside from the team that I'm running. Look, I think that they have the tools to at least make it very, very interesting. And now they're 1 point behind Texas, and should Texas drop one here and Stockton win one, we're looking at Stockton on the inside and Texas on the outside. So
this is where Texas, I think Degraves really has to hope that they're going to get some help from the goals tonight in this late game. If by some chance the goals can't keep their winning streak going and lose to Stockton, I tell you what, I think that has a lot of ramifications. First of all, it really gives Texas a hell of a problem to make the playoffs. And number two, if Stockton's the one that stops the goals winning streak, that's got to make the rest of the West, take notice at least and say, okay, they are for real. They're playing some of their best hockey right now.
Yeah. I mean, without a doubt, they really are. I mean, in previous weeks, they're going 4-5, 6-4. Not saying that they're playing bad hockey necessarily. Maybe a couple one goal games that they didn't end up winning, and that kind of costed them a couple spots in the seeding. But Stockton, like we were saying earlier, Sibs, they're a great team. I mean, you can't put that against them. They play great hockey. I played against them. I know a lot of their players. I know Vibes does as well. I mean, I could almost name every player on their team and tell you everything they do, and how they play. And the Stars are probably shaken up right now. They're panicking. That was the game to win for them. Out of all the games this season that they have played, that was it. That was, like Vibe said, that's where the champions play, right there. And I'm sure there were some nerves going into that game as well. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty nervous playing the goals last night. I mean,
well, sure.
But it was one hell of a game as well. I mean, so yeah, I mean that Stockton came out on top with a late couple last second goal, and hey, I think the true question is how does Texas bounce back, and can Stockton maintain this winning streak, especially playing the goals here in about 30 minutes. So, hey, you never know. The Stars could win this next game, and Stockton could lose, and now they only got 4 points to take advantage on. So, this is actually, I think this game for Stockton versus the Goals is a huge game coming up. So I'm really interested to see how that one pans out as well. I'm definitely able to stand around or stay around and watch that game with you and Vibes, and I'll be more than willing to do that because that's a hell of a game as well. And I just got a final on the Rain versus Barracuda. Rain won that 4-3 in overtime with about 4 minutes left. So I think we just took a 3-point lead in the first place with 4 points remaining. So, hey, you never know what will happen. So this is a great division. This is a real talented division from what I've played against and what I've seen, and you can't really argue against it. I think it's probably one of the top divisions in the league right now.
Taking first place, though, you may have just won a first-class ticket to play Stockton in the first round.
Sounds awesome.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll get you some peanuts on that flight or something. I don't know, but yeah, congratulations.
Well, let me
some popcorn too,
eh? Let me ask you your non-biased opinion, Vibes. If I can get the non-biased Vibes for once here.
Hang on, let me see something. Hey, Vibes.
Okay, let's talk about the 4 teams and let's talk about. Yeah, let's put Stockton in there. And the guys from Texas are going to be pissed at me, but let me just do this. Stockton, San Jose, San Diego, and Ontario. If you're taking your team to play one of these, who do you most fear at this point?
Between those 4 teams?
Yeah.
Is there a 5th option? Can I, phone a friend or...
It's that bad,
nothing?
Huh? Doesn't really matter who you play in those 4, does it?
Shit, man. They'd be 4 really good teams, let me tell you. Who would I most fear? Shit, dude. That's a really tough question. The Barracuda. I think the Barracuda. I don't know, though. Maybe San Diego. We got the Graves here, so definitely not Ontario. But one of the other 3, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
That's a really tough one.
Let me flip the table on you. If it's any better, which one would you prefer to face?
Which one would I prefer to face?
You still have no answer, do you? Well,
probably Ontario because the Graves is here.
Okay. You're seeing a rarity here, Degraves. You're seeing a speechless, non-opinion Vibes on this. And that tells you how difficult this division is. It is just, I wouldn't want to play anybody, to be quite honest. I think all these teams are playing well.
I can kind of jump in on that too, Sibs. I fear the damn goals, man. They're a good ass team. I think we had 6 or 7 shots last night against them. They're a real good team. Their defense is pretty phenomenal. Hit by the best. He's a great player. That other D partner, I can't remember his name, but man, I mean they're all around. Their passing, their defense, they're a great team. Watching Barracuda, they're a good team as well. They just don't have the depth. And I'm not saying that because they're in my division and whatever, but they have a great first line, almost an unbeatable first line.
Right.
I'll tell you what, Sibs. I'll give you a little something here, right? Since I couldn't quite deliver on that question, I'll give you a little something. And this is coming from someone who is a member of, overall, I am a member of the Western Central. I will tell you that the Western Pacific is a tougher division than the Western Central. And that's with, the Monsters and us and the Wild and so on and so forth. And the Pacific Division is a tougher division than the Central is. And I feel like early on in the season, we were all talking about the Central this, Central that, and so on and so forth. And the Pacific is really vaulted here up to be the best division in the entire league.
Ryan from Stockton makes a good point in the YouTube box, which I believe that's who it is that we're seeing. He said the game was heart-wrenching. He didn't want to see them get a point. And, that's part of the that would have been part of the problem, too, is, this game could have gone to overtime. They weren't far from it, and that would have assured a point. to Texas, and that late goal not only was a win, but it was a steal of a point from Texas, and that could be really big in the next coming games.
Yeah,
you definitely didn't want to give them that loser point. That's for sure. You definitely did not want to give that point up, because then it's like, you win, but it's almost like a half a win, So.
Yep. Yeah, that was huge. Like I said earlier, when they scored that goal, I'm sure they were really, really happy to get that goal with 33 seconds. And they kept their composure for the last 33 seconds, which is a big deal, because as we all know, a goal can be scored within 5 seconds of a drop of the puck. So, hey, they kept their composure. They knew what they were in, what was involved in this game, what came with this game at the end of the day. And
hang on a few seconds.
And Stockton got it done.
And Springfield just beating Lehigh Valley now handily in this game, but that that means a lot for that race at this point. Hartford winning, so they're pulling away a little bit further.
What's going on? Can you guys stop giving up goals for 5 seconds? I mean, you're making my blood pressure rise here. Come on. What's going on?
Well,
7?
We're looking 7-3 Springfield with the final score, and just not the game. 19 shots on goal. Let me see. Trying to see what the total shots were, but not a lot of work for Bacon and Tyler. Just not only having to get a lot of shots, but a lot of cross crease opportunities against him. So it just not a good defensive game, like we said, from what we could see here. Just not a good defensive game overall for Lehigh Valley, and not the best time to have something like this come up. So unfortunately, just a pretty negative game for Lehigh Valley. And when you've got that kind of a goaltender, you hate to see that happen.
Here. Let's go.
We're trying to get somebody on from Stockton, but we're having. I mean, these guys obviously are taking things seriously and trying to get ready for the next game. Meanwhile, we'll get back to talking about these games, and again, Springfield with the easy win, and Stockton with that last-minute play, getting the puck. Again, sort of like what we were talking about the other night, Degraves, getting the puck on net. Just get the puck on net. And then you hope and pray that something happens. And got the puck on net, save was made, it was sitting there on the doorstep, and that's what Loops did. That's what Loops does. Loops just poke checks, and boom, that there's the game-winning goal. So it's that simple.
And sometimes, like we discussed the other night, Sibs, that's all it takes. I don't care how pretty it is. No one cares how pretty it is. Did that punch you a ticket into the playoffs? You damn right. So who cares? I don't care if you slap it from across the ice, and that's a poke is a poke. So, and then that's hey, you take it as you get it. So they took advantage of the opportunity. Like we said, Loops has been playing phenomenally. So he's been playing real well for Stockton, and he went in there with an attack and got the poke in and got Stockton the victory.
Give you a quick look at the stats for that game. Again, the Heat winning this one 2-1. You see Peaky with 17 shots on goal against in this one. Dr. Oz only having to face 10 shots in this game. Loops with the game winner. Ryan had the early goal for Stockton. 2 assists for Wally. And again, just from the numbers alone that you're looking at, obviously a tight game. One where, these guys definitely, again, nobody wanting to make a mistake, and certainly some good play all around. But you look at time on attack there, just huge for a huge difference there for Stockton, 722 to 431. A power play goal, part of the difference there as well. Winning faceoffs 16 to 10. So, even some of the smaller, numbers there, things that have some importance, but don't necessarily weigh left and right. Sometimes it is just about a couple of extra faceoffs won, a couple of extra shots taken, and in this case for this game, Texas, keeping Stockton to 2 goals is nothing to be ashamed about, especially after 17 shots. But again, just not quite enough to beat a Stockton team that's just been running ragged at this point. Vibes, and now they are 9-1-1 now in their last 11 games, playing the kind of hockey that we expect out of them, and they just continue to to show that this experience that they have is what can be a difference maker late in the season.
Yeah, they're playing good, and excuse the pun, but the Heat are catching fire. And they're red hot right now. Wow, I'm just full of them tonight.
Aren't you?
They're major players, and they're going to be coming down the stretch. And if Texas stumbles just a little bit, and I think that's the importance of this game. The importance of this game is Stockton letting Texas know, listen, we're here, we're watching. Go ahead, don't make the wrong move, because if you do, we're going to pass you. And I think Texas feels it. They have to feel it at this point. And, Stockton has a really tough game here against San Diego coming up. And, but so does Texas. And, Texas' schedule is tough here on out. Stockton is not as tough. I don't want to take anything away from those teams that Stockton's playing and say that they're pushovers, because the reality of it is, in this league, any team can beat any team on any day.
Oh, absolutely.
But their Stockton, their schedule is definitely the easier of the two, if I had to pick one.
For sure.
And I have to disappear here for just 2 seconds because I'm doing double duty as a GM and this. So I'm just going to mute my mic here for a few, and I'll be right back.
All righty.
And Sibs, earlier you were talking about you were reviewing over the Stockton and Texas Stars, the numbers. Face-off 16-10, time on attack 7 to 4 minutes. All those the small numbers, they add up to a big loss.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the Ontario Reign last night. We lost the game due to me losing a face-off in our defensive zone, and it went in for a one-timer, and that was it. That face-off could be like you said, 1 or 2 face-offs could be the end of your season. And this, the Stockton Heat, it looked like they controlled this game for the most part. 16 face-offs to 10, 7 to 4 minutes on time on attack, 17 to 10 shots. I mean, Stockton set the table, set the tone on this game, and it looks like they pretty much had control of it for the most part. And they did, from what we saw and watched on the game stream. So, I mean, those little things add up. That's a common term in everyday life and even in sports. So those little things do add up, and Texas found that out the hard way, unfortunately.
Let's we got some time before the 10:30 game start up. Let's take a look at a couple of other games. I want to start with the Comets and the Rochester Americans and take a look at their scoreboard, where the Comets have eliminated the Americans from the playoff contention. They were pretty much hanging by a thread anyway, but the Comets, again, trying to push hard here at the end and solidify themselves their spot, and it looks like they've done that. 6-4 win in this one. I call 21 shots on goal against, and holding a team to 4, that's a good game for a goaltender in this league. Game there, hat trick by Noyes in this one, 3 goals, 2 assists. Hazy Eyes with a pair of goals, Toffoli with a goal and 2 assists. So good all-around play for the Comets. And again, another team that we've talked about that I think can be can wind up being a spoiler in this one. It could really cause some problems. And you know what? They very easily could cause some problems in this Eastern North as we take a quick look at it now after 79 games, and that's where we are right now. Utica has that 10-point lead on Rochester now, and with only 6 points remaining, that seals the deal for the Comets, and they will stay right where they are. Now the rest of the race is whether or not Syracuse and Binghamton might possibly swap places. I believe they play tomorrow night, and it's possible that things could change then. But that division, the Eastern North, looks like it is mostly locked up, with Utica now firmly in place in that fourth position. And it's again, this is an Eastern North where it feels like the three teams of Toronto, Syracuse, and Binghamton have pretty much been the ones who we all figured would be there. And could Utica hold on? That's a rare commodity in the league this season, where you've got a division where things are pretty clear. Hasn't really been that way, at least in two other divisions. And those teams continue to just keep doing well. And Utica, look, Toronto, Binghamton, Syracuse, all really good teams, but it doesn't mean Utica doesn't have a chance in a 7-game series to knock them off. They've got the parts, they've got the goaltending, and in the right situation with maybe one of those other teams, more than likely Toronto, they're going to face in the first round. If they get a little overconfident, can Toronto get knocked off by Utica? Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But, that's what you have to be afraid of if you're Toronto, a team like Utica that's shown that they can beat anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Toronto has been, they started off real hot to start the season. As we all know, I think they were probably the most threatening team to start the season. Probably first 4 weeks, at least. They kind of had their slumps up and down, but they've always been in that top spot for literally the whole season. And I could see possibly the Crunch maybe passing up on them. I'm looking at their schedule remaining. The Crunch have Binghamton, they have Albany, they have the Ice Caps left, which, in my opinion, are all three winnable games. That's a good schedule to have left. Now I'm looking at the Marlies. They got Lehigh, they got the Americans, and they have Utica. So, those are Lehigh. They're a playoff contending team. Americans, they look like they gave a running out in their previous game against Utica, I believe. And you just don't know. They Marlies could have played their best lines out there for the past these past days, and Marlies are kind of throwing out their weaker for these last couple games. But
Yep.
I don't know. I can't see. The Marlies are going to win this division. I just don't see it happening. And I think the Crunch are just going to stay in their spot. I think Binghamton is. I think this division is just going to stay in the division the places that they're in. I don't see it changing. Because these teams don't lose consistently. A one loss won't hurt them, and they probably won't go on a. Even though I'm looking at it now, the Crunch are on a 2-game losing streak, and the Binghamton has won their last 2 games, but I just don't. I don't see it happening. I don't see Crunch losing the next 3 games, the remaining games of the season, and in order for Binghamton to take that second spot, or they're going to need the Crunch to lose, and I just don't see that happening, and I don't see the Marlies losing. They might lose 1 game, but they're not going to lose that top spot. So, that's still a good division. There's a lot of good hockey being played there, and it's crazy. I'm actually just looking at all these standings, all the standings in every division, top 4 teams, and I'm thinking to myself, like, do I want to play any of these guys in playoffs? Really, Sibs, like, this is. I want to throw this out there. This might be far stretched because I didn't get the opportunity. I did, but we lost first round last year. But I really think going into these playoffs, this might be the best playoff hockey in LG Season 5 right now. This might be the best playoff teams going into playoffs for sure.
We'll take a quick look. I was just going to say, we'll take a quick look at the game you mentioned earlier before we start getting to any live games, and that is your Ontario Reign beating the San Jose Barracuda by a score of 4-3 in overtime. The Reign with a game winner there. You see Dangles with the hat trick in this one. Zach with a couple of assists in this. 22 shots on goal for the Reign, and that's what Newark Kid had to deal with on the other side in net for San Jose. And meanwhile, the Barracuda only getting 11 shots off. Time on attack, 3.5 minute difference in favor of the Reign. This looks like, with the exception of faceoffs, this looks like maybe the blueprint to beat San Jose, and that is to limit, well, it is to beat any team, but, you know, a team with a good offense, you limit the shots on goal. 11 shots on goal, still putting 3 in, which, you know, tells you the ability of that offense to do things even with limited opportunities. But, you know, maybe there are some things to be learned from this game, and even though you guys are making the playoffs, both of these teams are making the playoffs, it is, you know, this is almost like a scrimmage and learn type of game, and maybe you find some things that you can exploit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game. This could possibly potentially be game one of a playoff with them. You know, and maybe not in the first round, but in the remaining rounds. But I mean, Dangles and Zach. They've been playing with each other all season, so their chemistry, they're almost unstoppable. It kind of started off on a slow pace for them, but they've been picking it up the past 3 or 4 weeks or so. Dangles is a great center. He really has great vision on the eyes, and then also you got Risk. Everyone knows who Risk is, and he's a great player. He knows how to put the puck in the net, and you know, this is awesome, man. This is 22 shots. The Reign put up those kind of numbers, except last night for me. The goals shut us down for the most part. Coming with the goals and shots, they played phenomenal hockey, and that almost felt like a championship game in a playoff. That was an intense game. So yeah, Sibs, dude, these two teams, they're great teams. I'm very happy to be playing on the Reign. Very happy, you know, that Seafairman and Orioles are my management. They are good management, and I know on the other side for Barracuda, they have phenomenal management as well. They try to keep their players on the same line, and I really do think that that's a big part to the success of these two teams. You know, players having chemistry and sticking to it throughout the season, and I think that's part of the Reign and Barracuda's success at the end of this season is their chemistry. You know, playing on the same lines. I know Gamer and Cuban play on the defensive end. I'm not too sure about Philly and Bacon Blitz if they play together often or not, but I mean, this is awesome. And you said, you know, earlier they did have 3 goals on the Reign, but I just looked at who was playing goalie for the Reign, and it's West Side Hockey yet again. He's I mean, it's crazy. His goals allowed in the past 3 weeks are just going down and down and down. I can't tell you last time he gave up 3 goals in a game, more than 3 goals, I should say. But West Side he's on fire, and so is our defense. So this is it. So I'm really excited to see here after these next 3 games, how this all pans out coming into the playoffs.
Well, I think we should be able to get a feed again from Wally to get that Stockton game up. Hopefully, we'll get that up for you here in a minute or two. Vibes, did you able to put out the fires there for your team? Everything okay now? I think he's still missing. apparently he's going to take this one right up to game time again.
He might be finding some ECUs.
Yeah, well, again, and that's another. I mean, yeah, we've all talked about this countless times, obviously, but you don't necessarily want to blame people. I get that, but we're at a point now where it is just ridiculous how many ECUs are being used.
No,
And,
yeah,
and
Loop said it is.
it's insane
Yeah,
that this constantly has to be a situation where we're putting in player after player. I believe there were 3 games with ECUs last night in the 9:30 games alone. And look, we know it's also some of the same teams that keep forfeiting every other game that they're going up against. And I'm sorry, but I just think at some point, if you can't field guys consistently enough, then there's got to be some retribution by the league to say, okay, enough's enough. If you guys can't field, one night where you've got all of your regular players, what the hell are you? Why are you even still in this league?
Yeah, I know when I was in management, Sibs, you didn't show up for 2 games, man. I don't care if you're the best player on the ice. I'm dropping you like it's hot.
Right.
I'll replacement. I'd rather have chemistry within my team rather than a one-hit wonder coming in, 2 games out of 2 weeks. I don't need that on my team. Yeah,
Right.
I know it's the summertime and stuff like that, but hey, you signed up, so it's really nobody's fault but the players. So as management, I always ask to be informed well ahead of time. At least 4 or 5 hours ahead of time, knowing that you're not going to make that game, if possible. And it seems like you said, there are ECUs being played non-stop. NHL, AHL, CHL. And it is the summertime, so I do see that. But hey, don't sign up if you can't play.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, why you're wasting management's time? People really don't even consider how much time, how much phone battery life, etc. that goes on every day being in management. People asking asinine questions, complaining about a team member. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the last thing that they want to deal with at the end of the day, getting off work, is finding ECUs and making sure that they can field a team for that game, because that's a headache. It's tough. It's tough, and I know it, like we said 100 times, it's summertime, but you signed up, bud. So I know I feel like they've been pretty lenient on forfeits. Lately,
that's another thing too, is that there's got to be some penalty for this.
There's got to be. I know in season 3, I remember I got assigned as a management after our owner went MIA, and for the Sudbury Wolves, and I remember verbatim talking to a bog, and he's like, hey, after one forfeit, you'll get a warning. The second one is a warning as well, and the third one that's you're gone. It's a ban, and I feel like I don't see that happening very often. I feel like the rules aren't being applied as they should be. But that's not my forte. That's not my side of the game. I'm just a player, and I can't wait to get back into management next season, and hopefully I don't have to deal with that headache, because like I said, I don't deal with players not showing up to games, or no call, no showing, or I just don't deal with that. I'll find an ECU that can play every game or majority of his games and gain chemistry with his players, and that's really all that matters. I'll turn an average player into a great player. So that just all comes with chemistry, and I think these forfeited games, there needs to be a solution to this, and I don't know what that solution could be. I know maybe off air or something we can have a discussion about that, but I really don't know. Like you said, it's incredible how many ECUs are being used every single night.
Well, luckily for this game that we're watching right now between Stockton and San Diego, no ECUs going in this one, but San Diego, a couple of quick goals here in the first half of the first period, and they are up 2-0 right now. Stockton quickly digging themselves a hole. And this is an interesting game because, their goaltender, one of their goaltenders from last season, Trash Clown, on the goals this season, big part of this winning streak, and, could be putting his old team in jeopardy of making the playoffs with a victory tonight. So he wants to play well, and he continues to make some big saves right there in front of the net.
Yeah, Trash Clown is he's a great goalie. I've been giving him a hard time the past couple of days, but he's a good goalie. He really helps his team out, considering that his defense. I know against us last night, they only faced like 6 or 7 shots, which, as a goalie, that's praising. That makes you feel good. Being able to sit back and relax and enjoy the popcorn. Only 5-6 shots in a game.
That's nice. I wish I knew what that felt like.
Yeah. I mean, it's I felt pretty shitty for it, for only putting up 6 shots. But I mean, hey, their defense is great, their offense is great, their goaltending is great. They're a great team. So there's really not much you can really say about the goals. I just always like giving it a hard time.
And they continue to really have the way of the play here. Some good opportunities, couple of good shots in front again. Still working the puck behind the net and getting that up front. Nothing there for the Gulls as they retreat. We get to the end of the first period, just about the end now, as the Gulls with a 2-0 lead. And again, Stockton going with the same front line of Boots and Wally and Loops. And on the other side, Matt Sabb, C. Armstrong, and Hydrate. A lot of talk. I know you're gonna hate me bringing this up, but and let's keep this discussion down to a minute or two at the most. But C. Armstrong playing tonight for San Diego, and he's played a bunch of games for them, a bunch of ECU games for them so far. And you raised the question, and others raised the question about how many times you can use an ECU. And the problem is the rules on the website state you can only use a player 8 times in the AHL is what it says. So it doesn't say for the season. It doesn't say for each team that they play on. I got some clarification today from the AHL Boggs and from Haji, and he said, look, this is what the rule is, and it is that when you move from one. When you move on to another TC roster, that count resets. And so, while it's not necessarily clear in the rule book, that's apparently the rule, and so that's why they've been able to do this. And they had a few more games they could use in the season, and they're using them again tonight. Again, you can only use an ECU 3 times a week, just like any other player. He can only play 3 games in the league. He's a guy who's been around the league for a while, and he's able to play these games, and you and probably a lot of other people like myself are like, okay, well, we've got to make sure that the rule book that we're all looking at, has those updates, and I'm sure that the Boggs now are working on getting that amended, so that we can we could have that clear in the rule books, but. It is a bit confusing, and I can understand why many, including yourself, are like, hey, this is what the rule book says. We're told to adhere to it, and this is what it reads.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it like this, and I'll keep it pretty short. A TC could be traded from a team numerous times, more than once, more than twice,
sure,
potentially 3 times. So, I just feel like the whole. I know that's the rules in the rule book right now, but in my honest opinion and how I read it is, it being reset
is probably the most absurd thing I've ever heard. So he could potentially play 16, 24 games in a season, and
Sure.
and it being not even on the team, being on many different teams. I just think that's a little outlandish. But as they well know, C. Armstrong, he won't be able to play in the playoffs, so. Hopefully they enjoy him while they can, so
yeah,
whatever.
This is the last game they have with him. He had 7. This is number 8, so this will be the last one he can play for them. But I get your point about it, but you know what? What it does is it counteracts all the other things you can't do with your TC players, because so many. I mean, you look at your TC rosters. What do you have? Maybe a half a dozen that you could call up. For some guys, it's like 1 or 2 maybe that they can call up, and so it only gives you so many options for that, and then
But a call up and an ECU are totally 2 different.
Oh yeah,
things.
no, I know, but they're giving people some flexibility to say, okay, there are only so many players, and if he gets moved, this is a way that you can counteract to have another decent ECU that is active, that can play for you. It's the other side. I guess it's sort of the throwing of the bone that you can, somebody can be reused again. And whether or not that changes when we have more guys, you can call up more guys on your TC roster. We'll see what they do, but it all depends on.
Well, I really don't know how to express this, but like we just discussed, Sibs, the ECUing games is already just ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? I mean, that's not the GM's fault. It's hopefully it's not the GM's fault that they
is
pick
it or
people.
is it not?
Well, I mean, it depends. Or if they stupidly pick up people who have a bad track record of showing up, then yeah, it's their fault. But for a lot of guys, I mean, look, Vibez has put together a hell of a team that's done incredibly well. He's used, I don't know, upwards of 70 ECUs, Vibez, somewhere along that.
I used 2 more tonight, so we got to be pretty close to 80.
80 ECUs in 9 weeks.
We got to be close. I'm not saying exactly 80, but we got to be close. We got to be probably around 76, something like that.
Now, Vibez, let me ask you, bro. Are you tired of finding ECUs?
Am I tired of finding ECUs?
I would think so.
And I'm asking you this for a reason. So if you,
no, actually, I enjoy it. I get some sexual fulfillment from finding ECUs. So no, I'm not really tired of it.
He said ECUs.
There's really only one solution to. I know, like, the trade deadline and stuff like that is over.
There's one solution. What, forfeit games? Yeah, sure. Why not? Fuck it, right?
Get rid of the players that can't make your games.
Well, when every player can't make the game, it's a little hard to do that. Also, like, I'm not gonna cash in. I'm not gonna cash in a top team for a bunch of shitters just because they can make games. I'd rather the guys who are a little bit of, a challenge to deal with and still fulfill the ECU void. I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's my responsibility as a manager. You know what I mean? And I've never really. While I've made note of it and I've mentioned it, I haven't really complained about it. I mean, it's annoying. And I guess maybe I have complained about it a little bit, but it's not like I've made it to this thing where I, ECUs, poor me. No, it's just been a product of the summer season, and it's kind of just gone with the territory. And I've managed to keep the team where it is. I talk a lot of shit, you know what I mean? And I talk about how my team would be number 1 if it wasn't for all the ECUs. And I'm not lying. We would be. We'd be number 1. We're the best team in the league, you know what I mean? We're better than Ontario. We're better than any team out there in the Pacific. We're better than the Western Central. And that's just reality.
Hey, just a quick game update. As the second period is about to be over, San Diego just making it 3-0, and guess who scored that goal? C. Armstrong walking out in front and putting it home and giving San Diego a 3-0 lead at this point. And so right now, Stockton keeping them close in the second, right to the very end, not giving up anything. But again, San Diego, it's been all them for the most part in this game. Stockton's going to need a big comeback to hopefully even try and steal a point in this game. I think you go up against you go up against the Golds Vibes. If you're the Heat, I think the first goal you try and make is to get a tie. Let's get a tie and try and steal the second point. I got to feel like that's what they're thinking of right now, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Let's at least get a point out of it, And what is Texas and the Barracuda doing? That's my next question.
I'm watching that right now. It's 0-0, 10 in the first. So.
No.
We'll switch over to that one in a little bit.
The Graves mentioned it before, but I mean, if Texas wins a game here and Stockton loses, we're right back to where we started again in the middle of the night, the beginning of the night. And you know what? Stockton is no longer in the driver's seat at that point. But it's just man, it's tight hockey. It's close.
Those head-on games are the ones that can really be a swing now, and that's at least they did that much to keep themselves in this one. And that's big.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I'll give you guys a little update in the Western Central. Not that it's, it's not a game to get in, but it's a game that we're jockeying for position. The Manitoba Moose, we won our first game, and the Wild lost their first game, so now we have sole possession of second place once again. We're currently playing Rockford. I know that they're playing their game against the Checkers. So actually, if they lose and we win, we will have clinched second overall. So stay tuned. Not overall in that division. I'm sorry, not second overall. I apologize for that.
You still want that first place, though. I know you were working hard towards that, and really feeling like if things worked out well. But like you said, if you're using 10. You're using 10 plus ECUs a week. That's insane.
Yeah, it's been rough. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I mean, in Cleveland's defense, I mean, I know they've used a bunch of ECUs as well. But hey, listen, they were playing with a rocket up their ass for much of the season, and it's like I said, I mentioned in the show the other day that their carriage is turning back into a pumpkin right now as we speak, and if it wasn't for the start that they got out to, and then they played like that for most of the season, so you got to take your hat off to them. But they were playing way above their head, and they're finally starting to come back down to earth. But I think we could have taken first overall in that division. But anyway, whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? It's all about the playoffs.
And Vibes, hats off to you, man. I mean, trust me, I definitely wasn't downing the fact that you use a lot of ECUs. I mean, it's impressive that the team that you have put together with using 80 freaking ECUs, and here you are sitting in second. That's something to say for itself. I really don't care what anybody has to say. There's a lot of people that don't know what it takes to get into management. So,
Thank you, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that. Really, you're gonna make me blush if you keep going. But yeah,
kiss later on the cheek. Just let me know.
I tell you what. Yeah, And let me again, it's funny because I never do this because we Vibes and I like to bash each other because it's just a lot of fun for both of us. But let me be serious for a second. This guy, talk about the ECUs, all right? Talk about early on before anything ever really happened. He lost a few players for one reason or another. We don't want to get into right now. Some decent players. He went out. Did his bidding, and then talk about getting picking up guy. And it's funny because when you did this, Vibes, I thought, okay, I don't know what's wrong with Vibes, but he's sentencing himself to death. He picks up Go Hawks, and which is one guy again incredibly talented, but is moved from team to team. And I don't know the guy personally. All you know is that you hear horror stories about people. Maybe it's not warranted. I don't know. But when you see somebody like that get picked up, you say, great talent. Can he do what he needs to as a teammate to make this work. Right. Then he picks up Nylander, another guy who is is very much in that characterization that most people in the league have about him. Great player. Can he be a team player and make it work? Forget about everything else Vibes has done. He's gotten these two guys. I've seen a different side of them completely in the shout box, in games. It is very much what I saw from Mathieu with Stockton last season with the way Loops was able to handle him. If you can get guys like that to play, you get ECUs galore, you lose people at the beginning of the season, and you're where Vibes and his team is. I'm sorry. To me, right now, and I'll say it unabashedly, Vibes and his management group, management of the year in the AHL. Without question, I don't care how these playoffs work. Because in this summer season, if you can do that, to me, you're a model of a GM right there.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate that vote of confidence. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being serious. Means a lot to hear it. It's like Sibs always says, you're not great until someone tells you you are. It definitely means a lot to hear that. And hey, it's been a tough go, you know what I mean? And we have no idea what's going to happen moving forward, but it's been one hell of a ride. It's been a lot of fun, and guys like GoHawks. I mean, GoHawks is I think a lot of times he's just misunderstood, and he is who he is, and he does have a personality, but. I noticed that a lot of times if you're going to manage somebody with personality, you got to have a personality yourself. And I always just feel like I have the strongest personality out of everybody. And, no matter how you are, how you react, I'll one up on you. It's kind of like a suicide bomber, in a way. Like if a guy's holding a gun up at you, he's got a gun pointed at you, just show him your vest, and say, I'll blow the whole fucking place up if you keep it up. And that a lot of times that's my approach towards things, So it's worked out so far.
Yep.
Let's have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just a little update right here. The Stars took a 1-0 lead at the end of the first, and Barracuda came out with 2 goals within the first minute and a half. So Barracuda's up 2-1 with the 13 minutes left here in the second.
We're going to switch to that game quickly, but Stockton finally put themselves on the board here in the last few seconds, 15 left to go. They were quickly trying to get something going again, but they are down 3-1 right now with 11 left to go and trying to desperately get something on net, but San Diego will clear it out. No icing, and that will be the end of the feed and the end of the game. We're going to switch over to San Jose and Texas right now. As you see, 11-13 left to go in the second, and San Jose leading 2-1 in this game now.
All I can say is Stockton better be cheering hardcore for San Jose right now.
Well, I know they have to be because I am, so they must be cheering for them.
They have to be, right?
Yeah.
So
because I'll just be honest, I'm a Stockton fanboy, so take him for what it is. Oh, yeah. Fuck. Sorry, I'm watching my game, too. God damn it. How do you leave that guy wide open? Fuck. Sorry.
Well, we are hearing the sights and sounds of San Jose and Texas here halfway through this game, and Texas still only down by 1. They've got plenty of game here to do something with this.
Yep. They're playing good hockey. I mean, they held Barracuda to 1 shot.
And there they go. They've tied the game up.
There it is. Yep. I believe that's... Who was that? I don't know who that was.
We'll get that.
There it is. Was that a power play goal? I know they were on a power play. I didn't see it.
That might have been Giroux, but we'll get that because I want to say it was the right wing, but I'm not 100% sure on that. If it was Strawberry Yogurt is his name, but we all know him as Giroux.
Right. Was that a power play goal, Sibs?
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't hear it being called as a power play, so I'm not sure. I don't think it was.
Okay, I know they were on a power play at least right before that, so I wasn't quite sure. I didn't catch that. I wasn't really paying attention to that part. Yeah, I mean, big goal for the Stars. Stockton's on the edge of their seat right now. Wow, just his
you can tell the way these guys are playing that they're playing for keeps, for sure. This is a big game for the Stars, and I'm sure Barracuda knows that. So they want to either break their dreams or not. So, and Vibes, going back earlier, I think we were on a show. I think we were doing a show together, and you were talking about management. I really do hope you do, management next season. I think you expressed your feelings on not doing management this upcoming season, if I remember correctly. I don't take my word on that, but I really do hope you do come back, because, like Sibs was saying, you deserve that Manager of the Year, man. You definitely deserve it, and hey, everyone knows that this is the hardest part, is the summertime. So definitely keep your head up, and I definitely would advise. I don't know your schedule or work life or anything like that, but I definitely would love to see you as a management next season, because I'm hoping to take it on myself. So I want to go up against your ass.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But there's
out our best ECU line, eh?
Maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of guys though that deserve it though. It's not just me. There's a lot of guys out there who have done a lot of work. So, you got to take your hat off. Son of a bitch. How do you? Sorry. But there's a lot of guys out there who have done a lot of work, and it's especially throughout the summer season. So. There's a lot of GMs who deserve a little bit of credit here. As far as me taking the team in the future, I think that with the AHL, I think I'm kind of done here. I feel like I've had my go at it enough here, and I've kind of had a successful team multiple seasons. So anything AHL, I think I'm probably done after this season.
Are you making an announcement here, Vibes?
What?
Are you making an announcement here?
Well, I think I've kind of hinted at it before.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of an announcement. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done with anything AHL management related, probably player related too. I've kind of burnt out a little bit. And yeah, we go. All right, that finally, for fuck's sake, I'm sorry. It's sorry, I'm watching my game here too on the TV. I'm probably done with anything as far as that's concerned. It's just been it's too much. And word is that in a faraway land, I'm being given ownership. That's what I've heard through the grapevine of an NHL team. So that's what I'll probably be doing moving forward. And I don't know what I'm gonna do in LG.
I tell you what, it was. It's funny because it really. I mean, we've talked about it on numerous Friday shows about ECUs, about even things we haven't talked deeply about, but stuff that you could talk to, Vibes, about making trades, about trying to get guys to make realistic trade offers. About management. Anyone who's ever been in management chat knows that is a bitch fest, and bunch of guys just tossing tampons around about how butthurt they are. It is not fun to be in management chat at all. It's like listening to a bunch of 8th graders. It is, and I'm giving them credit by saying 8th graders. That's the toughest part. It's just having to deal with that.
You can tell them who's on the block, and no one ever, they'll message you and say, "Hey, who's on the block?" or "Who you looking to trade?" I'm like, "Well, I already told you." You
want to know something? If I can give advice to management, it would be this. There's two things I would say, and one would be don't try to trade nothing for something, because no one else is looking to trade something for nothing.
Right.
And then the other thing would be, don't just keep trading shit between each other. You know what I mean? It's like if I have AIDS and you have chlamydia, you know what I mean? We're not going to bunk up together and swap diseases with one another. You know what I mean? And, that would be the two pieces of advice I would give to people is you need to do a better job of evaluating your team. and seeing where you can give to get, you know what I mean? And
Right.
a lot of times it's like a puzzle, you know what I mean? And you gotta, if this piece fits better, and I mean the other piece may fit better, it may fit really well, but if you see something you can do to make the team overall a better look, then you know, you do it. It's like I traded hit for the best, hit by the best. I'm sorry, for Mafia Man this year, and you know, giving up hit by the best. I mean, I gave up one of the best defenders in the league. You know what I mean? And you got to give credit to San Diego too, because they made a move that helped their team, and I made a move that helped my team. But you know, we both gave up really good players in that deal. It was just a matter of what helped each individual team differently, you know, the most, and that's why that deal was made. And that's actually this, you know, I feel like I prospered from that deal, but at the same time, you know, it's one of my favorite hockey trades that I've seen ever. It just so happens that I was a part of it because it was such two such really good players, you know, moving in that deal in different directions, and both teams prospered. So.
Yeah, and you always see people questioning the trades, you know, oh, why would you trade him? Why would you trade him? You know, for him, it's like, well, like you just said, Vibes, well, I really need defense.
Yeah, you got to give to get, right?
You got you. That's what you have to do. I'm actually very big on 2-for-1 deals when I was in management. Whether it's one ECU and one roster player for one, or let me correct myself, one active, really good TC ECU, or and a roster player for one really good player that I really need and want. Just to give that extra juice in it. You know, because I know that they're on the other side thinking, man, I don't want to give them up. But hey, it's a 2-for-1. It's a 2-for-1, baby. So you know, that's it is a bitch fest when it comes to trying to make deals with other management, because you really don't know what's on their mind on the other side, no matter what they tell you. So yeah, it takes a lot of work. That's why I was saying earlier, your phone never stops blowing up. I know mine didn't.
Wait, you got a phone? You got a phone that works too? What? They calling you on the
barely,
phone?
It's cracked. I think I dropped it from all the bullshit I've been reading.
How come I don't get calls on my phone? Well, just shit, man.
It's probably multiple reasons, right?
There's Matt Sapp.
Hey,
right. He was my counterpart on that deal. You know what I mean? So he'll tell you his end. You know, and like I said, it was one of my favorite deals that I've ever seen, because you know, I know it made him a lot better as a team, and it made me a lot better. So it was really good to see. Oh, come on. How do you not finish that? For fuck's sake, I could have finished it.
What's going on, Matt?
Matt, what's going on, buddy?
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Another good game. So you just can't stop this win streak now, can you, at this point?
No, we're just a big snowball rolling down the hill. It keeps getting bigger. I mean, the way the guys are playing right now, man, it's just unstoppable at this point.
You know, this is, you know, a lot of discussion early on a couple of weeks back about Hartford. We talked about them a lot and their win streak, and, you know, we were able to poke holes into why, and maybe this was a reason, and certainly some of the competition. You can't say that about anybody who's on a win streak in the Western Pacific, because, you know, you're playing tough teams, and you're really tough teams in your own division, perhaps the toughest of grouping of teams in your division. Plus, you're playing other Western Central teams who are all really good. This is not, you know, this is an amazing streak that you guys are on. And I'm not going to ask you for 50 million reasons why it's happening, but if you're going to put your finger on one or two things that are going on with your team right now that's making it so successful for you, what's happening? What is it that's doing it for you guys?
Just the chemistry, man. We got such good chemistry with the lines right now. The guys get on early for practices. Sometimes we get inter-squad games going. Just stuff like that. Like, I remember back in Season 3 when I was on the Checkers when we won the Calder Cup. We had inter-squad games going all the time. Stuff like that. Just chemistry, man. Chemistry helps a lot.
And, you know, again, tons of competition in your division, but it's not going to be done. I mean, obviously, when this season's over, you jump right into no matter who you play, you jump into a really, you're going to jump into a good matchup one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a team that you necessarily want to face out of the other three that make it, is there?
No, any of the other three teams, the Rang, the Cuda, Stockton, or Texas, any of those teams could be very dangerous or very hard to play in the playoffs.
Right.
The playoffs are unpredictable at this point. Like the type of teams that you could play. Playoffs is a completely different season. It's like a whole new game. Anyone could win at any time, any moment. So
21 game win streak, as we mentioned. Could you imagine your team being able to do this? Is this something that is even surprising you at this point? Or did you feel like you have, to be able to do something like that, you've got to have 3 full lines, offense and defense, and 2 goaltenders who are consistent day in and day out. Did you feel like you had that and a streak like this could happen? Or is this even surprising you right now?
Well, as soon as we made those moves at the deadline, getting a bunch of ECU depth, considering Ajax, one of our centermen, is out. He's been out the past week or 2. We've had to call up, I think it's Carmstrong.
Yep.
Yeah, we had to call him up for I think 8 or 9 games. Or no, it was 8.
8.
Yep. And he played 8 games for us, and he played very, very solid for us. Helped us out a lot. Our whole entire team. It's not surprising that we've went on this streak, in my opinion. Just the team we have is insane.
Talk a little bit, one of those trades, and Vibes mentioned it, the trade with the Moose where you sent Mafia Man. As part of the deal, the big pieces were Mafia Man going over to Manitoba, and you guys pick up Hit by the Best, a defenseman who was part of the Eastern Conference champ Hershey Bears last season, a guy who played in front of me a lot, solid defenseman, All-Star nominee last season, this season. He is one of the best in the league, and I'm a big proponent as a goaltender of defense, obviously. But talk to me a little bit about Hit and what he's meant to your team since the deadline.
Oh, Hit has been absolutely phenomenal for us ever since we acquired him in that trade for Mafia and the rest of the guys. I can't take any credit away from him. He's played absolutely phenomenal, like I said, and I mean, everybody makes mistakes sometimes. He's made a couple mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Mm-hmm. But every single time he makes one, he bounces back. He's always positive. He's a great guy to have on the roster. And yeah, that's all you need in a player on their team, honestly. That's like the best package you can have. Positivity, bounces back from mistakes, always a solid player, on for practices, stuff like that. It's just awesome to have on your team.
Matt Zab, I have a question for you because I know in my eyes last night was there's a little, I wouldn't say tension, but I felt like there was just a lot of pressure in that game against us last night from both sides. A lot of good competition out there. Did that feel like a second round, first round playoff game for you?
You have no idea, dude. I was fucking shaking and hyped, dude. I was so excited. Like as soon as we were going into the last couple minutes of the third tie game, I was like, oh my god, this is playoff hockey right here. And our whole team said it. Like I can't remember how many people said it. They kept going, no, this is playoff hockey, guys. This is what we got to play like. And it just kept coming up, playoff hockey. And then we scored that 1 goal in overtime, and everybody just was like, that's what we need to do. We need to keep this going into playoffs, keep this train going, and we should be fine going into playoffs. So it definitely felt like playoff hockey to everybody that was in that game. Yeah. And I assume for you as well, you guys were very, very nervous going into that game. Even in the last couple minutes and going into overtime, it was a very, very close game. Anyone could have taken it.
Right. If I remember right, it was 1-1 at the end of the first, 2-2 at the end of the second, 3-3 at the end of the third.
It was close, dude.
It was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
We felt the tension when we were down 3-2, and we were like, shit, we need to find a way to score. Y'all were lights out on defense, hit by the best, and I can't remember the other fella's name that was playing D with him.
Sean the boss.
Yeah, that's what it was. And they played lights out defense, and they made it pretty easy for Trash to make 6 saves or what I think 3 saves and 3 goals. I think we only had a total of 6 shots on you guys, or 7 shots, I believe, and it was a tough game. And like you said earlier, it's that chemistry, it's that inner squad practice before. Lately the Reign haven't been able to do that due to people's real life situations going on, and I feel like that's a big key to winning games like that. It's almost it's a confidence thing. I know y'all were probably like, oh hell yeah, 3-2, couple minutes left. This game, we got this game. They're not putting many shots on, and we found a way to put one on. But damn, dude, I can't tell you how many times I wiped my hands on my pants.
Oh my god, dude, my palms are sweaty.
Dude,
dude.
I probably what do they call it? Slippy or greasy hands or something like that.
Yeah, it's that's
when you're
playoff hockey right there, isn't it? Gripping that controller tighter and tighter as these games get more and more important.
And I'm not gonna lie, I went to my kitchen and literally washed my hands to eliminate the grease and sweat. My fingers didn't roll off my joystick, man.
You say your palms were sweaty. By any chance, was there vomit on your sweater already, and was your mom's spaghetti?
Dude,
wow.
And we were good there too.
Little 8 Mile there, nice.
With all the chatter
coming in with the M&M.
Well, listen, Matt, we want to congratulate you on 21-game winning streak. You San Jose won their game, so you're actually 2 points still back of them, and that 1, 2, and 3 spot right now, Ontario needs to keep on winning to keep up there, because San Jose and San Diego still chasing after them. So congratulations on the win tonight, and listen, best of luck for the rest of the last couple of games in the season, and I'm looking forward to see you guys play in the playoffs. I think this is going to be a fun time in the Western Pacific.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You got it. Matt Sab there joining us today on the show. And, we've been on for a while here, and I think we're at the point now where we probably should put a little wrap on this show and get going. A couple of games of importance tomorrow night, and we'll debate whether or not which games we cover if we decide to look at Texas and Stockton again. Texas is going to have the bigger matchups tomorrow, the tougher ones for sure. So they're going to need a bit of a miracle to stay in this one, and they're going to need some help by the Heat's opponents tomorrow to try and stay in this one. But even at a point down right now, guys, Stockton with their matchups, to me, still in favor of being able to do something, and it's it's really going to be interesting in the end to see whether or not Texas has what they need to push forward. Vibes at this point, I think it's a situation where Stockton can't worry about whether or not Texas can overtake one of those teams. They need 2 big wins tomorrow night, and they need to play the best that they can in their games. They can't leave anything up to chance. This is their opportunity to say, okay, we hope the Texas opponents take care of what they do. But they got Bakersfield and the Rampage, who have had their moments of clarity where they've put up some good points and they've played some really tough games. There are no pushovers tomorrow for Stockton. They've got to go about business tomorrow night.
Yeah, these aren't wins that are in the bag. You know what I mean, by any stretch of the imagination. These are 2 teams, and like I've mentioned several times here, any team can beat any team in this league, and that's the greatest thing of this league is the fact that there is so much competition, and even the teams that find themselves, as kind of bottom dwellers, cellar dwellers, we call them, and we always make fun of them and stuff, but the fact of the matter is the difference between them and the good teams is not a whole hell of a lot, and it's just a few things bounce in one team's favor and against the other team, and that's why they're where they are, and that's really it. But aside from that, I mean, all these teams are really balanced and even, and Stockton better go out there with the mindset of, hey, listen, we just need to find a way to win 2 games. That's all we got to do is let's just find a way to win these 2 games, because if they fall asleep for a minute, they're going to lose and they're going to be out. If I had a message to those 2 teams, to San Antonio and who else are they playing? I forget now. They're playing
Bakersfield.
San Antonio and Bakersfield.
Yeah.
If I had a message to those teams, it would be, okay, listen, your season's over. When this regular season is over, that's it. You're done. But you have a chance tomorrow to leave your mark. Mm-hmm. Don't roll over and die. Right. We do not want to see these games end in a forfeit to where we just give it to Stockton. Don't roll over and die, all right? Because you got a chance to, yes, sure, your season might be over tomorrow, and that might be it, but you have a chance to leave an indelible mark on this season by changing the playoff picture and leaving your mark and walking out of here in a bang. So make sure you take your opportunity and don't let it slip and don't just roll over and die.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. I've been on a team that didn't make playoffs. Well, actually, I lied. I haven't been on a team that hasn't made playoffs, but I've been on a team that's been close to not making playoffs. I think that is a big thing. It's just like in any sport. You're not gonna throw a team out there or you're not gonna show up for a game just because you're not making the playoffs or the postseason. The whole point of it is to play good hockey, in my honest opinion. I play it for the competition. We all play for the competition and playing good hockey. And as we all know, this league, AHL, this league is phenomenal, guys. I mean, it's hard to be those top 4 teams, and I think it shows more class and more what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but it just shows a lot more class when you show up for these games, because like you said, Vibes, you don't know what the hell could happen. You could ruin a team's hopes and not make the playoffs. You could ruin that, and you are those people. Hey, you know what? Those teams that aren't going to make playoffs, they could get a look by someone that's on a playoff team, and that manager could be like, yo, I want that guy on my team. I know he's on a bad team, but next season I want him on my team. There's way more to it than just, we're not making playoffs, so you know what, screw the rest of this season. There's way more to it. If you really enjoy the league and really enjoy playing this game competitively, play your damn games.
Right.
Don't just ice it. If you want to be on a good team the next season, you got to prove yourself. You got to prove that, hey, I'm here to play. I don't care if we're last place team or almost last place team. It doesn't matter. Play the damn game and make it worthwhile. Make it worth something. Someone could eliminate, someone could be that team to eliminate Stockton, or someone could be that team to eliminate the Stars out of the playoffs. And if I was in the last place team and I knew my team wasn't going to make it, I'd be like, yo, guys, these guys are they're in a close race. What team do we want in? Okay, well, let's beat these damn Stars. Let's beat the Stockton. I don't want them in. Whatever it is, I don't care less. At the end of the day, it's a competition. This is a competitive game. So play it. There's a lot more. There's a lot more pride in it when you do something like that, rather than sitting and moping that you didn't make playoffs and, oh, tell your management I don't want to play, find an ECU. Like, that doesn't do any good for the league. That doesn't do any good at all. And that's hard for managers, you know, that aren't in playoffs and teams that aren't in playoffs. It's hard for that management to bite that tongue and not say anything to players that do that and neglect their management and make them feel like they're vulnerable. You know, it's definitely play your games out, guys. You know, I know last night we played the Bakersfield Condors, and Toadstool, I was messaging him back and forth. Hey, man, I'm trying to find ECUs, and, you know, I want to play this game. And you know what? Us, as the Reign, our whole line said, you know what? Screw it. This guy's trying to fill a team. I don't care if it takes him 30 minutes or 40 minutes to play this game. We're going to give him the time to play this game because we know what he's going through. It's hard because there's those guys constantly just say, screw it, I don't want to play. And hats down to Toadstooler for filling out a line and getting a line together, even though it was 40 minutes after game time was supposed to be started. Screw it. I mean, we made the best of it, went and played our own little game, and that was it. Like, you know, even though we beat them pretty single-handedly, I mean, whatever. I don't like a forfeit win, even though I get the win. I don't like that.
Yeah, we're here to play, right? That's basically it. We're here to play. We don't want to sit here and take forfeits. It's a waste of our time. It's a waste of everybody's time.
That's right.
It's a shitty feeling. It's a shitty feeling when you take a forfeit win. I don't feel accomplished. I know Vibes, you don't feel accomplished. Sibs, you don't feel accomplished. No. I mean, that's a shitty feeling. I don't get any reward for it. I can't even say I played a good game, you know, or I played like shit. I'd rather say I played like shit and take a loss than take a forfeit win, honestly.
Yeah, fun story real quick before we get off air here. I actually I actually helped a team find an ECU for them actually twice this season. I helped the other team get in touch with their ECU and they couldn't find them.
Wow.
Just fun fact there.
I kind of did the same thing tonight. But...
Yeah, because we didn't want to take the forfeit, so I went and found their ECU for them.
You know what? If we had good guys all the way through, if we had good guys all the way through, who had that in mind the whole time, the whole season, this would be a lot more fun to play if everybody said, hey, you know what, we'll give you all the time. When I start hearing people say, oh, they passed their time limit, make them forfeit. Why are you here? Are you here because you want wins in a video game league? Really? Is that what it's about for you? If that is, then I feel sorry for you because it's really pathetic. We're here. It's a social thing. We want to play the game. We want to talk to people. We want to have fun.
To a certain extent, Sibs, I agree with you. But there are some people that sign up for an 8:30 game, or my time, 8:30 my time. You know, and maybe they do have plans going on at 10 o'clock, you know, that night. And I get sometimes when people are like, you know what, screw it, like, let's just take the forfeit win. But then at the same time, I because I've been in that shoe where I'm like, dude, this game needs to start because I got to go out and drink some beer. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that. I'm just saying if that happens and somebody has to leave, you know, to me, if I'm the GM on the other side, I say, hey, you know what, I get it. Take what you need. Keep in touch. Let's talk. If you need help finding somebody, let me know. You know, that kind of thing. That's what I'm looking for in a league. I'm not looking for guys to say, hey, you got exactly 2 minutes and 45 seconds. You better find an ECU or I'm making you forfeit. That's the shit we don't need in this league.
Yeah, and there's plenty of, and I know many managers that will be like, oh, 8:45.
Yeah, I know.
We're taking the forfeit. I'm like, guys, grow the F up, all right? That's just ridiculous. It's the summertime. I mean, look, Vibes is over here filling out 80 ECUs in the damn season. All right, that's ridiculous. All right, like that's just
and you want to know something? If we don't forfeit either game tomorrow, I would have gone the entire season without forfeiting a single game with everything that went on. And you know what? That would be honestly. Regardless of what happens, that would be my biggest accomplishment. The fact that I didn't have to forfeit a single game all season.
That was a piece of information that I wanted to pass along when I was talking about all the positives you did this season. all those ECUs, and that was the part that I forgot to mention. It's a big part, not one forfeit. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Hopefully I
amazing.
can make it tomorrow without doing it, and if I do, that would be my that would be the biggest accomplishment for me all season. That would be the thing that I would hang my hat on, is the fact
Sure.
that we didn't have to forfeit a game all year, despite what we went through. So,
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Well, boys, I'm signing off here.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good that we had this show. Vibes, Sibs, always
Yeah, it was good.
alongside you guys. So,
All right.
Sibs tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do something tomorrow. We'll let the people know as soon as I have some idea of what I'm doing. Like I said in the YouTube shout box, it depends on whether or not my wife is talking about divorce. We'll see. Because if she is, then I'm definitely gonna do a show.
Yeah, right.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate you taking the time tonight.
Join the show.
All right, guys, take it easy.
All right, so
That's Vibes and Degraves and T-Sibs here saying so long. Hope you guys had a lot of fun watching us tonight on a special edition of Thursday Night Hockey and LeagueGaming.com. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow night, maybe with a late game, the deciding game, to see who the final person will be in the Western Pacific, Texas or Stockton. Thanks for joining tonight's Wednesday night doubleheader right here on YouTube and League Gaming.